Hello girls, I hope you're staying safe at home. To continue with the circulatory system, if you remember in the last upload I talked about the functions of platelets and how it helped in the clotting of blood. In a similar manner, blood clotting can be seen in a test tube. If we take some blood in a test tube, a clot will be formed in the same way, and the serum comes out from the cloth and it will collect separately on the surface. So here you can see how the fibrin threads and the blood corpuscles form the clot and the serum collects separately. That is the liquid part of blood. Now if it happens in a person that the number of platelets fall below the normal count, it becomes very low, then coagulation takes place very slowly, which leads to hemorrhage. So this happens if a person suffers from viral dengue fever, okay, and people die because of hemorrhage. This has taken hundreds of lives in Delhi and other states of India since 1996, and even today I think you do hear about people suffering from dengue. Now remember that it is a wrong notion to think that clotting depends on the exposure of blood to air. Actually, clotting can take place inside a blood vessel if there is movement of blood over a rough surface, as on cholesterol deposit on the inside of a blood vessel. So there only a blood clot can be formed. Okay, now moving on to blood transfusion and blood groups, ABO and RH systems. Now you know sometimes it is very, very important and it becomes very necessary to inject blood into the body of sick people, patients who are undergoing surgical operations. You must be hearing that some people who are very sick, they require blood. So this is known as blood transfusion, when blood is given to a sick person from outside. And you know this blood is taken from a donor who is very healthy, and it is introduced through one of the patient's veins. That is, it goes into the sick person's veins. But for doing so, you must remember that the kind or the type of blood which is transfused should match or should be compatible with the type of blood that is being received by the person who is known as the recipient. So the healthy person who's giving blood is known as the donor, and the sick person who's receiving the blood is known as the recipient. Now, red blood cells of human beings have different types of proteins on their surface. So these proteins are known as antigens. Okay, so the plasma of the blood has its own complementary antibodies. Different types of antibodies are found in the plasma of blood of people. So in humans, there are two types of antigens, antigen A and antigen B. Where do you find these antigens? You find it on the surface of the RBC of human beings. Okay, these are proteins. So depending on the presence or absence of these antigens, there are four types of blood groups. Okay, so first one is A antigen, which is found on RBC, is antigen A, and antibodies found in plasma is anti-B. Blood group B has antigen B and anti-A. AB has antigen A and B, and it does not have any antibody. And blood group O has no antigen, and it has both anti-A and anti-B antibodies in the plasma. So there are several systems of blood grouping, but two of them, ABO system and RH system, are very important. Now, according to the ABO system, the human blood is classified into four types: AB, and O. Okay, so besides the transfusion of one's own blood, that is A to A, AB to AB, B to B, O to O, the other transfusions can also be made. So accordingly, O type of blood is known as the universal donor. Why? Because it can be given to A, it can be given to AB, it can be given to B. Okay, and AB is known as the universal recipient because it can receive blood from A, from B, and even O. Okay, but a person who has blood group A will receive blood only from A and O, and B will receive blood from B and O. Okay, so this is how blood transfusions can be done in a safe manner. So this table shows the summary of ABO blood group matching, that is compatibility. The person who has blood group A can give their blood to A and AB. B can give to B and AB. AB can give only to AB, and O can give blood to all AB, and O. Now moving on to the RH system, the blood of most people contain a substance which is known as the RH factor. RH stands for the rhesus, okay? It is the common monkey in which the factor was first discovered. So when the blood of such an individual who is RH positive is transfused into a person lacking it, who does not have RH, that is RH negative. So either you are A positive or A negative. If you are A positive, that means you have the rhesus factor. If you are A negative, that means you do not have the rhesus factor. Okay, so if the blood of an individual who has RH positive is given to a person who does not have, the blood of the recipient develops an antibody for RH substance. That is, it gets sensitized. Okay, so what happens? The person who is receiving the blood who does not have RH factor has received blood. A plus is given to A negative. A plus means it has the rhesus factor. A negative means it does not have the rhesus factor. So what happens? The body will start developing an antibody. They will think that a foreign substance has entered, RH positive, RH factor has entered the blood. So after 2 weeks of transfusion, the antibody will be developed in the body. Now if a second transfusion is again given to the RH negative person, the antibody produced by the first transfusion causes a reaction with the transfused blood, which may even lead to death. That is, it is something like developing an allergy. Okay. Now, RH factor in pregnancy. Supposing there is an RH negative woman, okay, and she has a child in her uterus who is RH positive. So this woman becomes sensitive. That is, if the husband is RH positive. So the first RH positive child will be normal. But if it sensitizes the mother, that means the antibodies will be produced in the mother's blood. The second positive child, if conceived soon, will have a problem, and sometimes it will lead to the death of the fetus and an abortion. Okay, so RH positive is written as RH positive and RH plus, and RH negative is written as RH negative or RH minus. So people with RH positive blood group have B antigens on the surface of RBC, while people with RH negative blood do not have these antigens. So moving on to the blood circulatory system, children, the circulatory system consists of the heart and 3 types of blood vessels, that is arteries, veins and capillaries. Now the heart is right in the center between the 2 lungs. So this is the location of your heart, okay, and it is just above the diaphragm. Now the narrow end of the roughly triangular heart is pointed towards the left side. So this part is towards the left side, and during working, the contraction of the heart is more powerful on the left side, giving a feeling that the heart is on the left side. Okay, the adult heart is about the size of a closed fist, about 12 centimeter in length and 9 centimeter in width. Okay, so it has 2 coverings. One is outside and one is inside. This is the inside part and this is the outside part. This membranous covering is double walled and it is known as pericardium. And in between the 2 pericardium, this yellow portion that you see in between is a fluid, okay, and that fluid is lubricating in nature, and it is known as pericardial fluid. Okay, now during the beating of the heart, it reduces friction and protects it from mechanical injuries. Okay, now when we talk about the structure of the heart, remember the heart has 4 chambers, 2 upper chambers, which is known as auricles. This is the first auricle and this is the second auricle, and the lower 2 chambers, that is known as the ventricles. This is the ventricle 1 and this is ventricle 2. Okay, this is open. This heart is open. You can see the chambers inside. Now, if you look at the atria, also known as auricles, they have thinner walls. Look at the walls. If you look at the walls of the ventricle, you can see that the walls of the ventricles are thicker. Okay, now the auricles have thinner walls. Why? Because their function is to receive blood from the body and just pump it to the next ventricles. From the auricles, the blood is pumped into the ventricles. So they have thin walls. The ventricles, on the other hand, have thick and muscular walls. As you can see here, it is very thick and it is muscular. Why? Because they have to pump blood to very long distances. Now the right ventricle, this is the right ventricle here. Okay, this is the right ventricle. It pumps blood up to the lungs. So from here, the blood goes up to the lungs for oxygenation. Okay, and the left ventricle, this is the left side. Okay, left ventricle pumps it to the furthest point in the body, such as up to the toes and even up to the brain against gravity. So its walls are thicker. Children, you'll get questions. Why? Explain why auricles have thinner walls and ventricles have thicker walls. So this is your answer. Now moving on to the blood vessels entering and leaving the heart. Now the right side, the right atrium. So this is the right atrium, as you can see, receives 2 large blood vessels, superior or anterior vena cava and the inferior or posterior vena cava. So from here blood flows in and comes inside here, and from here blood flows in and comes inside here. Okay, so anterior vena cava, also known as superior vena cava or precaval, brings deoxygenated blood from the upper region of the body, including the head, chest and arms. So this is from the upper part of the body, whereas the posterior or inferior vena cava brings blood from the lower part of the body, including the abdomen and the legs. Now the left atrium, if you move to the left atrium, you can see that it receives 4 pulmonary veins. So see, this is from the left lung, 1, 2, from the right lung, 3, 4. So from here blood flows inside, comes here, from here blood comes inside. So pulmonary means the lungs. Okay, so it is receiving oxygenated blood from the lungs. Okay, now the blood vessels leaving the heart. Now from the ventricles, you will see there are 2 large vessels. One is the pulmonary artery. So here you can see pulmonary artery, which is going to the left. From here the blood will flow in from here, and there it will move out and move towards the left lung. Okay, and similarly from here you can see goes out there, it moves towards the right lung. Artery, A for away. So arteries carry blood away from the heart. Okay, so the pulmonary artery, you can see, has arisen from the right ventricle and it is carrying deoxygenated blood to the lungs for oxygenation. So if blood is being carried from the heart to the lungs, that means it is carrying deoxygenated blood. That is blood which is rich in carbon dioxide, and it goes to the lungs for oxygenation. Okay, And next you can see the aorta comes from the left ventricle. So from here you can see this arrow moves in, this arrow that is going towards the aorta. So you can see it moves out through these blood vessels. So aorta arises from the left ventricle and it takes oxygenated blood to all different parts of the body. So moving on to the coronary arteries. Coronary means of the heart. Okay, so in this diagram, that is the front view of the human heart, you can see the coronary artery, the right coronary artery, which is there, this one, the red one, which is red in color. Okay, and the left coronary artery is taking blood away from the heart. Okay, so this red one are the coronary arteries. Okay, and it is coming from the base of the aorta. This is the aorta, you know. Okay, from there it is coming out, from there it is coming out. So these supply blood to the heart muscles. Now the heart muscles are constantly in motion. It has to keep on contracting and relaxing because our heart beats continuously. So for that it requires a lot of oxygen. It requires a lot of energy. So the coronary arteries supply blood to the heart muscles. Now if there is a blockage in any coronary artery or in any one or more of its branches, you can see the branches. These are the branches going to each and every part of the heart. What happens? There is a deadening of the corresponding. Now if there is blockage here, so this part will become deadened. Okay, and it leads to what is known as heart attack, and in biology it is known as myocardial infarction. Okay, so the coronary veins, this blue color that you see, are the veins which collect deoxygenated blood from the heart walls, and then it pours it into the right auricle. Okay, angina pectoris is the chest pain due to insufficient supply of blood to the heart muscles. So in the heart, blood flows from the auricles to the ventricles and from the ventricles to different parts of the body. And remember, children, that the blood must flow in one direction only. There should be no backflow of blood. So you will see valves in the heart which regulates the flow of blood in a single direction. Now there are 4 valves in the heart. First one is between the right auricle and the right ventricle. It is known as the tricuspid valve or right atrioventricular valve. Okay, it has 3 thin triangular leaf-like flaps or cusps. That is why it is known as a tricuspid valve. Okay, and the tips or the apices of the flaps are held in position by tendinous cords, which are known as chordae tendineae, which arises from the muscular projections of the ventricular wall. So this is the wall of the ventricle, and these muscles are known as papillary muscles, from which chordae tendineae arise. Next, you'll find valves between the left auricle and the left ventricle in the same way, okay, between them. But in this case, it has only 2 cusps. Okay, it is known as bicuspid or mitral valve because it has 2 flaps. Next, valves you will find in the opening of the right ventricle into the pulmonary artery. So here, this is the pulmonary artery, you know that. Okay, and from here it is moving out, and there it comes here, this leading to the right lung, and this goes towards the left lung. So there we have pulmonary semilunar valves. Okay, these are pocket shaped and 3 in number. Okay, that is why they are known as semilunar, like half moon. Semilunar means half a moon. Okay, now in a similar manner, we have aortic semilunar valves, which are located at the point of origin of aorta from the left ventricle. So here. Okay, so it is going from here. Blood will flow to the aorta and to different parts of the body. These are also 3 in number and are pocket shaped. Okay, so this is all, children. Your assignment which you need to submit on 20th July is write down the different steps of the clotting of blood and draw the diagram that shows the blood clotting, that is just below the functions of platelets, clotting of blood. Till then, children, stay safe. God bless you.